Hello, good evening, night. we didn't get our little jingle there.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. I thought it was my internet. Usually, when everything seems kind of it's going slow, it's my internet. But yeah, the intro did not blast off. But that's okay. How have you been, Ollie?
I'm doing very well. Look, I've got a special Valentine's jumper on.
You made a good effort. Fair play. Exactly. That is my symbol of love. The skull. Of course, we'll get into that in a bit. It is Dia de Amore Amistad on Saturday, of course, which is kind of Colombia's Valentine's Day. It's always the third Sunday in September. But of course, like there is Amistad in that, Ollie, and it means friendship. And I'm feeling a bit heartbroken this week because yesterday it was the final day of service by the owners of my old office, the Panaderia in Barrio Nueva Zelandia, my refuge throughout this whole pandemic, and even well before that I used to go there. So they've shut up shop, and it's taken me back a little bit. I've been listening to cheery up music for the last 20 minutes to get me in the mood. You know, I like these panaderias, as you well know, Ollie. It's tough.
There's plenty more bread in the oven.
Yeah, I know. I'll get over it. But give me I guess I should be more worried about the fact that I lost the only student that I currently have, so I've no steady income. But that's for another day. Anyway, let's get cracking with things here because we do have an awful lot to get through tonight. And love is in the air. You might know it between us two, but it is on Bogotá Nights, Colombia's only live and interactive English language chat show. Yes, in anticipation of this Saturday's Dia de Amore Amistad, that is literally Day of Love and Friendship, Colombia's Valentine's Day, basically, we're going to be chatting about all things to do with dating and romance in these parts. And as some of you may have noticed, both Ollie and I are men. So to bring a bit of balance to proceedings, we're going to be joined by a couple of special female guests to get both a foreign and local woman's perspective on hooking up in Colombia. We want to hear your thoughts on all this as well. Are there things you find perplexing, frustrating even, when it comes to loving it up here? Colombians watching, what are your thoughts on dating foreigners? Do you find us exotic? Surely I am. Or simply exhausting, and not in a positive way whether it's a case of a bad romance or love shining a light, music followers will know where I'm going there. We want to hear about it. Send us your messages right now and they'll magically appear on screen. If you do happen to be watching this recorded, you can still get involved by commenting on where you're viewing or via tweet, the handle being everybody's favorite English language newspaper in Bogota at Bogota Post with the hashtag Bogotá Nights. More on all that and more shortly, but to arguably more mundane matters first, our brief review of the week's news. And Ollie, I don't know about you, but once I got over the fact that my panaderia is no longer operating, I woke up this morning feeling a whole lot safer in Bogota. Our mayor has drafted in military police to bolster security in the city. Is Mr. Pritchard in support of this move?
Mixed feelings, Brendan. I'm kind of behind things if most people want them. It seems to be sort of broadly popular, I think, just going off of kind of Twitter, sort of friends talking, things that I see on Facebook. It seems to have broad approval. I wouldn't say it's the most popular thing in the world, but there does seem, I think the thing is, look, everybody's talking about this perception of crime being higher. Everybody thinks there's a crime wave. Whether there is or not, it's hard to say, but certainly that's the perception. And so I think most people do feel more secure on the streets, and I think if people feel more secure, I'm broadly in favour of it. I would say there's massive caveats over the fact that, well, the Colombian military have hardly covered themselves in glory over the past few years.
Yeah, well, of course, it's the military police, and they're not alien to the streets of Bogota anyway. Like, they generally operate in certain areas of the city pretty much all the time, if I'm correct in saying. But now they're going to be in specific places. Have you seen them around your part of the city at all? I mean, they're not up here from what I can see.
So what I saw last night was that the Brigada Trece, the 13th Brigade, who have a bit of a spicy reputation, to say the least. They're mainly being deployed sort of around Kennedy, Bosa, I think. I don't know how spread out they're being. It's not entirely clear. Certainly the big reports and photos of their presence seem to be focused around the Kennedy, Bosa area of southwest Bogotá.
Yeah, okay. And you said from your kind of investigations that a lot of people seem, well, if not in favor, but they're not against it anyway, maybe perhaps indifferent. And again, if it makes people feel a little bit safer, then all well and good. But one of your bugbears has always been, and we mentioned this in previous episodes, well, like if the police that are already on the street just did the job that they're meant to do, then there may not be a need for these additional forces drafted in. And I mean, are these guys going to follow the kind of police's indolent lead as well, I wonder? Like, will it lead to a difference? I guess if there are more bodies and people with machine guns looking at you, then it is a bit more intimidating for a potential thief or whatever. But it just comes back to that point. Do your job in the first place, guys.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, you know, it's dramatic maybe to talk of machine guns, but really that's the reality of this. You know, we don't want police, you know, carrying out military justice in the streets. And I think the thing that's hanging over this, that more and more Colombians are talking about over the past couple of weeks, is simply this. Okay, if criminals get apprehended, what happens next? It's all very nice and well arresting them, but what happens next? And I sort of feel a little bit for the judges here. There aren't prisons to put people in. If you're going to have a high crime country, you need to have a lot of prisons and a lot of judges and a lot of lawyers and a lot of legal framework. And Colombia doesn't have any of that. And so we've got a bit of a problem. Somebody's arrested on suspicion of committing a crime. What happens next?
Generally, are they like held up in a little kai for 24 hours and then let go? Is that what happens? That'd be
precisely. Yeah, precisely. Yeah. And that's the thing. But actually, I mean, look, it's all very nice and well saying, oh, well, the judges just let everybody free. That's a reasonable complaint to make. But also, from the judge's point of view, there isn't anywhere to send them. They're literally, you know, most prisons are operating at a minimum of 100%, often up to 150% capacity or higher. And I mean, and conditions are awful. So it's hard to see sort of what options there are, unless, you know, a president needs to sort of say, we're building more jails. But I doubt that will be popular.
Was it your Prime Minister who had the idea about chain gangs, bringing back the chain gangs in the UK? Was it Boris?
It wouldn't surprise me.
I thought he said that a few weeks ago, certainly this side of Christmas anyway. Maybe that's it. You know, there's a lot of public works that could do with extra hands here maybe, and thinking of the environment. Of course, there's habeas corpus to contend with as well. You can't have these guys without having going and facing a trial or whatever, and facing up to whatever they're being accused of, I guess, put it that way. But yeah, it is an issue, as you say. Like, you arrest them, but they're back out on the street again. But then there are no deterrents at the end of the day. Like, if you're thinking, well, here's a chance, I'll rob this gentleman walking the street. What are the chances I get arrested? If I do get arrested, I'm released within 24 hours. So, you know, it's kind of win-win almost for the thieves.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's nothing stopping them. And you know, the longer this situation is allowed to continue, the more people are going to say, oh, you know, police don't do anything. Judges haven't got anywhere to put me. I might as well go out and commit crime as well. So even if it, you know, it was always a bit of a miracle that there was so little crime in Bogotá, given the fact that there's almost non-existent policing. this has got potential to get a lot worse.
Yeah, of course, we have seen, I think there was one only recently posted on one of the expat social media groups, where there's a lot of community justice meted out at some thieves. That you'll see that in Bogotá and throughout Colombia from time to time. If a thief is caught in the act, then a few people will get around and give him.
But therein lies the problem, doesn't it? Because actually, what you're not talking about is lynching thieves who are caught. What you're talking about is lynching people who have been accused of thieving, and those are two very, very different things. Mob justice often ends up attacking the innocent.
Yeah, it often does happen. I guess some people will say, well, look, we caught him red-handed in the act, and there you go. But of course, if we all just kind of summary justice or mob justice or whatever, well, what kind of chaotic city are we going to be living in then? But I think it was it 500 or 600 of these military police rolled out yesterday. I think up to 2,000 Claudia Lopez has asked for. I think she'll get what she's asked. Mm-hmm.
They've done that annoying thing of saying uniformados and then not really being clear. But I think, we had 300 yesterday, more to come. And she's asking for a couple of thousand more police, I think.
Okay, well, should all feel
watch
a whole lot. Well, as we always say. And I saw just before we came on air that they have timetables, these guys, as well. So like they're publicizing that. So any prospective thief is probably going, okay, they're not going to be around from whatever time to whatever time. So, yeah, exactly. Anyway, speaking of kind of summary justice or whatever, our Haitian mercenaries, the Colombian mercenaries in Haiti, claiming that they've been victims of torture and being attacked with machetes and stuff like that, Ollie. Sounds terrible, but of course, some people might say what goes around comes around.
Yeah, exactly. It's a little bit strange to see the Colombian ex-military complaining about torture methods, given the many accusations that have been leveled against them by human rights activists, by FARC members, by ALN operatives, etc., etc., etc. And let's not forget the falsos positivos scandal and so on and so forth. So it's not a great situation, but I think they're realizing, I think one of the problems of being flippant about human rights abuses is that other people might do it to you, and that seems like it might have happened in this case.
Yeah, and just the backdrop, in case people are wondering what we're on about, these are the Colombian mercenaries who were involved in the assassination of the Haitian president there, what must be 2 months ago now, I guess, was it July? And they're held in prison in Haiti, and reports coming out that they are being tortured as they await trial. I take it that's why they're there. There are talks about extradition. Are there, or am I making that up, or did I hear that incorrectly?
I don't know.
Okay.
I would be I would be quite surprised if that were the case.
Yeah, but again, well, as you said, if you're going to go into those who live and die by the sword, in a sense, put it that way. A quick mention, because guys, we are actually going to get to our main topic tonight a little bit earlier, because we have 2 guests coming on, and I think one of them's just about to join us now. There's Olga Dyakova. Hello there, Olga.
Hi, how's my mic? Good.
Your microphone is wonderful, yeah.
Good.
You sound
good. Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
How's it going?
Look like you're coming from a castle there or something.
A castle. I wish.
Looks
bookshelf.
nice there. Okay. Well, Olga, because I know we're going to be joined by Claudia Castañeda as well. Just there was and this is appropriate enough. There was a dating program in the UK called Blind Date, and the presenter used to go, "What's your name and where do you come from?" So, Olga, we know your name, but just so people are wondering who you are. You've been living in this country for a while, and you're CEO, head of Impendus, which you can tell us what that's about as well. Chance for some free publicity.
Sure.
We'll charge you later.
Send me the bill.
Yeah.
Sure. Well, okay. So actually, it's Olga Dyakova, just to correct you on that one. But yeah, so Russian American from Boston, been here for about 8 years, this magical country of Colombia. And yeah, Impendus is one of my businesses. I organize classes, group conversation classes, and interview preparation, and different types of English products, mixing the fun with the academic. So I do that. I also do some UX recruiting in the States. So I have a couple of different things I've got my hands in. So thanks for having me here.
Okay, I'm surprised you have the time to come on with all that. Sounds like you're very busy. You're
Yeah,
making
it's nice.
me feel.
Time to relax and to hang out, to chill.
Exactly, and talk about love and romance in
right.
Colombia. Are you currently dating?
Yes, I am. Actually, quick note, Claudia's messaging me. She says she's
Yep.
backstage over there. Okay, perfect.
Yeah, I saw that out, yeah.
Okay, perfect. So yeah, I
Okay.
I am currently dating. I'm in a committed relationship with somebody that I met in February. So yes, and I have lots to talk about how that happened and the whole process behind it.
But you with a Colombian guy, obviously.
Actually, my boyfriend now is Venezuelan.
Okay, but in Latino, certainly, anyway.
That's right.
Obviously, yeah, because that's what we kind of want to get to that point about what maybe the differences and all that kind of stuff between what your experiences are in the US and we'll say in English-speaking Western world versus the Spanish-speaking Western world. Is Claudia trying to join us, by the way? Because before we kind of get our teeth into this, yeah. Because
I'm trying to get soft organized, but yeah, carry on.
Oh, okay. But you see, Ollie's also doing a bit because. Do you know the origins of Dia de Amor y Amistad, to talk in a more general sense about this whole day? Because obviously a lot of the
globally or in Colombia?
No, well in Colombia because it's only here that it's the third Saturday in September, if I'm correct.
Yeah, no, here I have no idea. I'm guessing it has something to do with commercialization in the US, and then here they decided to do a different day. I have no idea. That's my best guess.
Well, the little bit of investigations that I did and what I found was that it came into being in 1969, and apparently it was merchants in Colombia who wanted, a day in September because it was seen as a kind of slow month. Of course, it's one of only really normally 2 months of the year that you don't have a festivo. The other one being February, which of course is when Valentine's Day is anyway.
Yeah,
so
they have the option, but let's do it differently, right?
Yeah. So it's always the third Saturday in September. So yeah, since 1969, so they could sell more roses, more flowers, and whatever else. So is it a day that you actually celebrate, considering your current boy? Well, you're only going to have your first one because you're only going out with him since February. But I mean, has there been kind of hints that you're going to do something special on Saturday, or are both of you kind of more following the Valentine's 14th of February line? And you're going
to be honest, neither. We're pretty laid back about those kinds of things. We celebrate day to day, but he's the non-Latino, so doesn't really dance salsa, doesn't really listen to Latin music, doesn't really celebrate Dia de San Valentin. So we're pretty laid back. We are going to be hanging out though, going to a concert with some friends, and actually my ex-boyfriend, because we're friends, so that's cool. And we're all going to go watch a concert together on which I didn't realize was I did not realize that was the Saturday. That's pretty funny.
Okay, yeah. Well, I just hope your relationship is more stable than my internet connection, because I always have problems with this connection since I moved house. It's not the steadiest. So that's fine. So you've no problem at all with meeting up, because one of the things, and I'd be interested to get Claudia's take on this, and I've written plenty of stories about it as well. Jealousy amongst Latinas seems a big deal. So if you're going to be meeting up with your ex-boyfriend and with your current boyfriend, is there not a bit of an issue there?
It's funny. Hi, Claudia. Just to say hello. Glad that you got a chance to join us tonight.
Maybe now, yeah.
Let's do a little segue before I launch into that, because that's a big one. So once we dive into that, there might not be coming up for air. So I don't know if you want to introduce yourself, Claudia, and what you do, your little blurb. You're live.
Yeah, well,
Go on, Claudia. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I know Brandon as well. I know him. Yeah, I have read many articles about all the amazing
Hello.
things he writes about Colombia and Bogota. Is very fun and entertaining.
Um,
Me, yeah. So I am an event planner from Bogota. I also organize speed dating events. So that's one of my passions. I really enjoy doing that, like connecting people and meeting people from all over.
So yeah, it's funny. It's funny. Like
Olga.
Claudia's kind of in the beginning of that process of like connecting people, and then me with the psychology background and some of the stuff that I've worked with, I've kind of seen the post connection, the breakups, the everything in between. So you'll see the whole pipeline represented here. But yeah, to come back to your question about the jealousy stuff. So you came in right at a hot topic, Claudia. They asked us about Latina jealousy. Um, my answer to that is that I think you go through waves when you're a gringo and you come to live in a country where you want passion, and then there's also the side effects of passion. So I think you go through waves where maybe you meet a certain group of people that might not be the best for you long term, but maybe it's like an initiation, right? Like understanding the culture. Then it's let me do the exact opposite, and then it's finding something in the middle that works. I don't know. So I think in my case, I can't do any more of that jealousy toxic crap anymore. So for me, having somebody who's so mellow, with a couple of little tests, a couple of little experiments where you'll say, "Hey, let's all hang out, see how it goes." That's the best way to tell, rather than somebody. I'm not a jealous person. How many times have we heard that, right? So for me, it's just put your money where your mouth is, and once you hang out enough times with friends and groups and different experiences, you can see if the person is or isn't jealous, and you can see that pretty quickly in my experience, like date one usually. So yeah, for me, that's a red flag that I will not be interested in waving any longer anymore. That's my take. Claudia, what are your thoughts? I think
Claudia.
there's a little delay over there
Oh,
too.
I
Oh,
think we lost
bummer.
her there.
I hope she comes back. What are your thoughts,
Yes.
Ollie?
Well, I was about to say it's interesting what you said about not wanting the toxicity, and also that guys say, I'm not really a jealous guy, and I do wonder if there is a different kind of bar to it. And I have always thought what I can you see, I would say a lot of what people call here jealousy, and they almost sort of say, "Oh, it's soy celoso," in a kind of almost positive, or soy celosa,
In
in
a
an almost kind
protective
of
way.
positive way. Yeah, in a kind of like, I'm so caring, I'm so nice about this, and I think Claudia's back, excellent. But I think another thing that really worries me about it is that I think some of those guys that say I'm not jealous and then turn out to be jealous, and it happens with women too. I think actually they really believe that. I think they honestly believe they're not particularly jealous.
Yeah. So you
Okay.
think that
Well,
there's just a lack of insight on their part? It's not lying.
I just think there's a different kind of level to it. It's kind of like, when people say, "Oh, it's really cold today in Bogota," and I kind of think, I was wearing a t-shirt most of the day, because to me it's not really that cold. I kind of,
Subjective.
if we're not below 10, it doesn't really feel super cold to me still. And I think maybe it's the same thing, that they genuinely, they don't think it's particularly jealous to say, "Oh, I don't like you going out with your colleagues if there are men there. I only want you to go out with your female friends." Things like that. I mean, I remember the first time when I came to Bogota, and a friend sort of at the school said, "Oh yeah, no, I'm lying to my husband about being in the bar with you guys." We're like, "What? Why? Why would you do
Yeah.
that? It's 6:30 in the evening or something." And she said, "Oh yeah, he doesn't like me going out with men from work." And I
Right.
thought,
Or
Jesus
lying about going
Christ,
to Tostao, lying about going to the library. It seems just where does it end, Nah, that's too much.
so weird.
well, Claudia, Claudia, have you dated foreigners, non-Colombians?
Yeah, I actually
Have you?
had a very long relationship with a guy from Germany. We lived together for 3 years and spent all this time together in London. So it was an interesting experience.
Oh wow.
Okay, because I want to get the difference between going out with a European in that context and a Colombian. Um,
Hmm.
like what were your experiences? Were there things with the German that you were kind of going, God, like I prefer a Colombian, and vice versa? Were there things with the German that you kind of thought, oh, this is nice. I wish Colombian men were like this. And I know I'm generalizing, but generalizations do come out of somewhere. You know, there's no smoke without fire and stuff.
Yeah. Well, what I can say is that we're just very different. So that's why it didn't work at the end, because basically he was very independent and he made me change completely. I am a totally different person now. Before that, I was a little bit codependent in terms of like company and like love, and now I am more independent after being with him for such a long time. um, it wasn't that long, but it was long enough, especially living abroad, living in London together. We didn't belong to that place either, so it was a challenge.
Oh, well, I just want to kind of put my foreigner's hat here and my experiences with Colombian women. Like, we talked about jealousy, and I guess linked to that as well from my own experiences. Not that I've had an awful lot, but like the needy nature and this kind of idea that you always have to be in touch with them, always contacting, and that like any second. So it is tied into jealousy because
If you
don't
don't,
send a message or you're out of contact for an hour or two, there's kind of, the alarm bells are ringing. What's Brendan doing?
Yeah.
Because with practically all Colombian women I've been with, I've had that experience of this very, what I would call, needy nature.
now I have a question about that though. Is that, just not to generalize, but from your sample size, did all of them have similar jobs or occupations or things to keep them busy during the week, or were they sitting at home doing not much
That's
and
interesting.
had a lot of time to be in their brain and be in their anxiety and make things up in their head? Because I feel like somebody who was equally busy or wasn't constantly glued to their phone would not have that much of an issue with it.
Hmm.
But
That
again, that's just from my
Well, some were
experience.
students and some did have
that is an interesting point. I'd
there's
never really
a little bit
thought
of a
about
delay
that
here,
before.
so yeah.
Because it's a difference,
That's
I
an
think. Because I
important.
think that gender-wise, or even culturally, if you're looking at somebody who's got time to be bored and time to make things up, any culture,
Hmm.
any gender, they have more time to fill with crap, right? Versus if you've got somebody who's really, really busy. I mean, yeah, then maybe if they are like that, then they really are jealous, right? Because if they're so busy and they make time for the jealousy. But I think more it might be like speaking to maybe neglect, because they maybe feel they don't have a lot of time. They're not getting your time because they have more time than you. I don't know, because I think I've had that experience with really jealous ex-boyfriends, where it was only when they were not busy that they were jealous. And then all of a sudden when they were busy, all of a sudden it was fine and there were no problems and I was doing the exact same thing, traveling, spending time with my friends, my family, whatever. But I would go ahead and lend to guess that because I was curious. On the other hand, of course, I do know that typically in this culture, we know that passion comes with the ups and downs, right? Will bring happiness and frustration and jealousy. So maybe you've also been with a lot of passionate women. Who knows?
Yeah,
I
I do
can give
remember
my
being
input
in.
about that.
So
Yeah, can I give my input? I know, I agree with Olga in that sense. I think a woman without many things to do in with her life is gonna be like a pain, sometimes. Also, if you date young women, like very young in comparison with you, that's gonna be another problem for you. So you better find like same age kind of women, so you don't get in trouble, and you don't need to
I,
teach her how to be a woman, like how to be a wife or how to be grown up. And in my case, I'm zero like that. If someone doesn't look for me, I don't go after them at all, because for me that's a waste of time. It has to be like a feedback, constant feedback, in
but
my
then
opinion.
how do you decide who is the person who does the pursuit? I think that's something I find really difficult here. Is um, often this idea that there's going to be a very kind of heteronormative gender role situation where, like, a lot of women will be like, well, I want you to constantly be looking for me. I kind of go, well, it's going to go both ways. Sometimes I'm going to be saying, hey, do you want to go out? And sometimes no, I can't have it. I want you to decide everything and I want you to tell me what to do. And I kind of think, yeah, I'm just not interested in that. That feels like having a child. I don't really want to have, I do that with my dogs. I kind of decide for my dogs where we're going and what we're doing. That's not really a dynamic I want to have, with an adult. And actually, it's interesting what you say, Claudia, because I'm often struck by the fact that, these aren't young women. We're talking about people in their 30s, but critically, people often who are in their
Hey,
30s.
excuse you. Excuse you. First of all, 30s is still young. All
Yeah.
right. Check yourself.
But I mean, it's surprising for people to be living at home in their 30s doesn't surprise me. But to be saying kind of, oh, well, my parents don't like me staying out at night. And I kind of think, you're in your
Well,
30s.
why not though? If you're living in the house with your family, that's already a different cultural context than something
Well,
that.
yeah, no, absolutely.
So
But
there,
it's still a
so
bit
then
odd
if
to
you're
me.
you, but if you're living with somebody and that's normal in your culture, then the rest of it is also going to come with it. You can't just make your parents all of a sudden not worry about you coming home late, right? You can tell them don't worry. They could be the coolest parents, but parents are parents, so they'll probably still worry. So at the end of the day, like I personally can understand it. I've dated somebody who lived with their mother. And I'm somebody who's traveled the world and haven't lived with my family since I was 14. So for me, that's very different, but it was very funny to see that okay, they live with their mother, they're in their 30s, they have a decent job. What's going on here? Like, how do I not judge, but then how do I also spend time, intimate time, right?
Yeah.
When you've got the family in the house, and then it's one of those things that, yeah, it is very cultural. Is it something that you want to put up with necessarily with that individual? But then is that, I feel like you can find people in
So,
your respective countries also, right? That live with their family or parents
oh,
until they're
yeah, yeah, yeah. But
older, or
it would be very unusual to be in your 30s in England.
are
And
you
to
sure
not be.
about that
No, no, no,
now?
no, no. Wait. It would be very unusual to be living with your parents and not to be able just to sort of text them and say, "Oh, hey, I'm going to be coming back tomorrow," and they go,
Depends on the
"Okay,
parents, no?
we know you're safe off." No, I think it would
Is
be
that a
pretty
religious thing, do
unusual.
you think? Do you think that's a religious thing? Do you
Um,
think that it's like a lack of religion or something? Maybe here it's more like Catholic values that dictate some of the parental relationships with the kids.
I think it's more paternalism, to be honest. Part of which I think is related to Catholicism, but it's this idea of having kind of a patriarch in the family who kind of dictates everything almost.
Yeah, I think I'm curious what you think, Claudia, but in on my part, just from what I've seen in general, there's like two types of people, and I think it'll be the people that in general don't care what others think, and that'll be their family and their everybody else included, in which case they'll be more independent. They'll probably tend to be more world traveled regardless of the gender. And then on the other hand, you'll probably have the people that care about what their parents think when they live at home. And even if they don't live at home and they have their own apartment, they probably really care about what their friends think. And they, the friends that say, oh, you're dating this gringo, he's going to leave you eventually. So, it's not serious. Don't take it seriously. Or this is your ticket out of here, or whatever those values are. So I think like either they're letting people's views infiltrate them or they're not. And I think that doesn't necessarily always correlate with if they live at home and they respect their parents, like when they're at home. Because I think that if you really respect your parents and you don't want, in this culture, I see that there's, the saving face element where you don't want to disrespect somebody to their face. Like I can understand that more so than somebody who can't be independent. You can't travel with them, for example. Because I think that the whole babying thing, that I agree with that in terms of both genders. How many men do you know that, in their 30s, the mom still cooks for them, and they still come visit her like twice, 3 times a week. She makes them lunch because it's easy. They don't have to cook or clean, and she does their laundry.
And he's just moved away from the family home. You visit him for the first time and his fridge is empty. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, they just live in the comfort zone a lot. They don't want to leave the comfort zone, the hotel mama. That's how we call it, hotel mama. Yeah, so it's pretty comfortable. I have to admit it. I have came back 2 times to my mom's house after living with 2 different boyfriends, but I think I am way different in many ways. Like after living these experiences with different cultures and being involved in so many different like contexts in the work area as well, working with people from different nationalities, it has opened up my mind a lot. So I'm not that super strict. Of course, I am religious, but I am not fanatic. So I do take care of myself. I make it clear when I'm dating someone and I just say, hey, these are my boundaries. If you agree with that, we can keep going on. Otherwise, goodbye. I'm very pragmatic, and I think that's not very Latin. I have developed that after traveling and doing a whole bunch of things. As Olga said, I am one of those travelers, and also I try to think outside the box always and not being like super crazy thinking about the person when I can do things with my own life on my own, growing up and meeting other people, making friends. It doesn't need to be a date all the time. I have plenty of friends and I know many people.
Well, and I think you had
Hang
said
on,
earlier.
Olga. So just I wanted to quickly jump in, Olga, because I think this is going to be interesting again. But I just want to give a bit of a shout out. We've got Miguel Angel in Jopal. I don't think we've
Miguel,
ever had a
what's
listener
up?
from Jopal
Oh my
before,
God.
so that's really nice. And Jason Duque as well, and Angela, we've got your topic, and Adam Armfield. We'll get back to all of you in short time. But sorry, go ahead, Olga.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, no, I was saying the hotel mama thing. I do see the benefits of it though, because when I got here, being a very, very independent traveler, backpacking my way with limited budget, all that good stuff, got here. And at one point, I actually lived with one of my boyfriends and his family house because they had a house here and they had a house in another town. They weren't here a lot. And that was a very interesting experience because then here I am going from the one extreme to the next, actually living in Hotel Mama. There were some good parts about it too. Like I think as a traveler, as a highly independent person, having the consistent meal times 3 times a day, having somebody ask you how your day was, just the family dog. I think all of that was really, really nice, and I think that some of that actually rubbed off on me and made me a healthier individual. Like those moments of those almost like training you to have consistency, and then that made me appreciate those moments more with my own family later. So I can't say it's all bad, and I can see the allure where you can also learn some really positive things from that. But yeah, so
I was just going to say just a couple of things because I haven't been muted here. It's just that there's a ridiculous delay my side. Maybe the love gods are deciding that Brendan doesn't need to contribute to this conversation, which would make pretty much decent sense. But just a couple of things that I want to get on there. Just number one, these were not ridiculously young women that I was referring to, or adolescents earlier. I mean, they were students, and I was just out of being a student, to be honest. You know, we're going back 10 years ago with the first case of this kind of neediness. Another one was a professional. Like, I'll just give you an example. I was in a class, and she called. Now, normally I wouldn't answer, but I just thought, okay, I'll answer this quickly just to say, hello, I'm in a class. I'll call you back when I'm finished. And that's exactly what I did. And then when I called her back, she goes, why were you so rude with me? I said, I was in a class. Like, you know, what do you expect me to do? Yeah, so just because I was very short in my reply. The other thing is, like, I tend to find that Colombian men are very good at the whispering sweet nothings, and I'm not good at that, and I'm not quick to elevate a relationship. You know, if I've been going out with somebody for a couple of weeks or months, you know, I'm not going to instantly start saying mi amor, mi cielo, mi todo el mundo. And again, that can kind of upset some women, or it has in my experiences. And I kind of go, well, if I say I love you, it means I mean it. I mean, I'm uncomfortable to say I love you to my mother. Again, maybe that's a Catholic thing. And Olga brought up, you know, the Catholic thing. I grew up in a house, you know, where my mother was quite strict about bringing people back. Now, because I was the youngest, I guess I got a little bit more leeway compared to the other 6 siblings that were in the house. But yeah, so there's that kind of a difference in terms of declaring one's love. But I'm a conservative traditionalist, an elderly couple, I guess in their 60s, frantically kissing each other at the table behind me. I felt like turning around and saying, please, guys, would you find yourselves a room? I'm trying to write a story.
I want to be those people when I'm 60.
I'm not.
I want to be that 60-year-old. Like, those are my life goals right there.
That's completely normal here, you know.
I think it's great.
Poor girl in the street, that's fine. We are not scared about showing our feelings in the public spaces. It's completely normal. But of course, I know that's not normal in Germany, in front of your parents' boyfriend, you know. Like, just in the cheek, you know, like. I learned that the hard way. Yeah, I know.
Let's bring up, we've got a comment here that's kind of interesting from Angela, one of our contributors at times. She says she blames kind of soap operas for the way of presenting love. I don't know if I'd be so specific, but I do find it interesting how there's a lot of toxicity in a lot of kind of popular stories. And, you know, people often say, you know, isn't it romantic? You know, we met each other when we were engaged to other people. And I kind of think, that's not romantic. That's weird. And, there are people, for example, who I know who I'm not going to give any details about because I don't want to identify them, but they kind of make this big thing. Oh, you know, it's so romantic. I met my husband. We were both married to other people. And I kind of think there was some fallout. That's not romantic. That's kind of weird. And look, I mean, I'm not judging people that you get in that situation, but to then present it as a romantic story seems to me very, very weird. And again, when I look at TV and films, and certainly not just in Latin America, but all over, you do get these weirdly toxic themes again. You know, Ugly Betty is a really good example of that. I don't really know the storyline, but isn't it that she basically rejects this wonderful guy to stay with this horrible, sleazy kind of guy that she's wanted forever? Hello, little dog.
Yeah, I haven't.
Point of view.
I mean, I think that's the quintessential human issue, no? To want what you can't have and to not want what you have. I mean, that's, you know, I wouldn't say that that's only limited to Colombia, but I do think that, yeah, I think there's a lot of stuff at play there. I think the toxicity, you're right, in the sense that all the reggaeton and all of the chasing and the dopamine highs and lows and all the passion and the anger and the breakup and the makeup sex. Yeah, it's sexy. It's a lot of endorphins and dopamine shooting everywhere. So I mean, that makes sense. That's the same reason why I think in the US and just all over the world, people are addicted to applications, and it's really the same dopamine high that they're chasing, whether it's through their drama in their relationship or through scrolling through social media or whatever, whatever dopamine fix you're aiming for. I think people don't realize that's really what they're addicted to when they're addicted to these like crazy big love stories. I think that's also interesting when you look at definitions of happiness and like contentment culturally. And you start looking at, like, in Europe, people are happy to be just glad, content. And they say, why are you Americans smiling so much? What are you guys doing? Are you guys like stupid? And then or we're over here, yay, we're smiling all the time. Gotta say that you're happy. How you doing? I'm great. Right. So I mean, there's a lot of that too, that I think.
What about, I mean, Claudia, you're the, we've lost Brendan. That was dramatic. Claudia, you're a dating person. I mean, do you think that dating apps are particularly, like, are they successful? Is there a reason are they particularly popular here, do you think? Do they work?
Well, I really don't like dating apps. I have tried a couple, and honestly, people I've met there, they're just rubbish, to be honest. They just want to have like casual sex and things like that. So I don't like that. I prefer to avoid them. I like more the speed dating kind of format, and like meeting people in a normal social context, meeting people through other friends and things like that, like in a more natural environment and not only online, because they can say so many lies and put fake pictures, and you never know who.
How does that look? People have said that to me before. I've had that a number of times, and I kind of think to myself, you can't believe. But people have said to me, "Oh, you're pretending to be a foreigner," and I kind of go, "Surely you can't." Like, I always think to myself, but how would that work? Okay, imagine if I wasn't me, and I sort of turn up to a first date. What am I going to say? Oh yeah, I just, my hair fell out and I didn't have a beard, and it seems very weird. Why would you put up a fake picture? That seems weird.
People think that it'll take them through. No, or they put up a picture where they're like 5-10 years younger, like a better photo of them, and then that's actually the most common one I've been hearing. But see, if you guys are having those problems, sorry to say it, I disagree wholeheartedly. Everyone's got their own opinion, but it's just like looking for a job. People don't put half the effort into dating that they should, in my opinion. If you do it strategically, you can wade through the crap and get what you strategically, just like job interviews, just like anything else, you want to make sure that you don't waste your time and the person actually looks with like their photo, video call. Like, there's so many ways that you don't have to waste your time and physically go there and transport yourself and pay the money and whatever and be disappointed. Plus you can see chemistry, laughing, movement, like those kinds of things you can't get from a picture, from a video call. It's not that complicated. Ask them a few questions, see how you vibe. Then worst case scenario, you have a new friend. Like, at the end of the day, like, dating apps are just a tool, in my opinion. Because at the end of the day, it's the same as being at a bar. Okay, you're drunk. Of course, you're influenced. Now you go, oh, this guy looks great. And then in the morning, oh my God, chewing your arm off. Like, no, at least. And also the age thing, that's a killer. You have all these people that you think are older, and then you ask, let me see some ID. And they're like 18 or like 26. And you're like, no, you're a baby.
Oh, yeah, no, that's something, actually, that's something that happens. I mean, you've got your filters.
That's why I went on Bumble, and the age filter and the no kids filter. Like, for those of you who are childless, that is the most important thing. Finding an app that has a filter that lets you make the right decision and not go through the heartache of people trying to change you.
I've come across people that have put in the wrong age fairly regularly.
People lie everywhere, but at the end of the day, you'll know. Like it'll still be statistically less people that if you're at the bar and you're like, oh, this person, we've got chemistry, and then they're 5 years older, and it doesn't matter that week, but then it will always surface. The problems will surface, I assure you, unless they don't. But I don't know. I just think dating apps, there's not enough time. People are busy. I think it's easier to wade through and have like see who you can chat with, who you vibe with, and then go out with them. I don't know. I think if you approach it strategically, you can definitely do it. That's how I met my boyfriend. I was like, okay, I was on a mission.
But it's nice that you found your match. I think it's a good technique to have a video call on like immediately after you get connected, because if you spend like 1 month chatting
Oh,
every
no.
once in a
Who has
while,
time for that?
I never do that, like I go
I used to do
straight to the
that.
point. What are you looking for?
Yeah, no, exactly. I think that's my point. Like you learn from your mistakes, because I went on Tinder for the first time like 8 years ago, and then didn't have my strategy, so I went through all sorts of mess. And then a couple of years later, I went on again and tried a different strategy and did Bumble instead, actually, and it worked much better. Much better, less time, more efficient. It was fun. You met really cool people that became like business contacts and friends, and like it's like a networking space, basically. I don't know. That's how I see it.
How do you find one thing that constantly fascinates me is that meeting somebody that lives 2 or 3 localidades away might as well be on the moon. I mean, I might as well be dating somebody in Villavicencio at that point. I'm constantly fascinated by it, and I have to say, I'm kind of guilty in this in a bit, in that my flexibility is slightly limited by the fact that I have dogs and a cat. Oh, Brendan, you're back.
Hi.
But I find that really weird. I can't move around. I find people are incredibly sort of busy to get around the city. Do you find that, or are people more sort of willing to come to you, as it were?
Can
I mean, in my case, yeah, go ahead.
That's the worst excuse I can hear ever. I don't admit that kind of excuse because I think it's pathetic. If you're looking for a relationship, it's because you have time. Yeah, and you can make time always. Sending a message doesn't take more than 30 seconds. If you really want to put the interest, you just do it without excuses. So if anyone comes to me and say, hey, I don't have time, oh, I'm so sorry, I didn't see your message you sent like 24 hours ago. I was going to reply, but then something came up. Well, what's that something? Well, another woman, in my opinion. I think these are busy
wow.
people.
Well, that would be your first assumption.
Okay.
Something else.
Me, opposite approach.
For me, that'd be a litrazo the poker, Claudia.
That would be my red flag, girl. That's my red flag right there. That's a red flag for me about jealousy. Just saying.
24 hours after. That's a lack of respect, in my opinion. You should give what you receive. I give what I receive. If you ignore me, I will ignore you forever.
You never. What if you forget and then you write the person and say you forgot?
Yeah, if
you're bad for forgetting,
that's fine after 24 hours. But if he comes back to me like 3 days after, oh, I'm so sorry, we're supposed to meet 2 days ago and I forgot to say.
Oh, like leave you hanging, not like make a plan.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, no, leave you hanging. Interest. No, goodbye, next. Yeah, no, of course.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
No, because for me, my viewpoint is that when we studied a lot in my psychology program at Alliant. We studied a lot about relationships, and one of the things to me that stands out is you can look at the romantic side of it, but I'm very pragmatic, like Claudia. So in my sense, like, yeah, I agree that you should make time and you should move and everything, but do I want to necessarily find somebody who lives on the other side of the city? No. Why when there's so many other people you could find that live close by? Hence the applications have geolocation. Just saying, another plug for how awesome they are. I'm all about using technology. I'm just saying, because you can set, how much space you want between you and that person, and then check if they traveling or do they actually live there. A little bit of stalking does you good, and then you can organize, set yourself up so that the people are in your neighborhood. I'm just saying, that's easier. Everything's easier. Taxis coming home from the 85 is easier. Going to parks and concerts is easier. Do a little round of taxis.
Exactly.
Olga, do you not believe in soulmates then? Imagine if your soulmate is the other side of
Oh,
the city.
sure.
Heaven forbid the other side of the world.
Where are they gonna find me though? Because how are they gonna find me? I'm at home working online, so I think they're gonna find me when I find them. And I have my boyfriend now, so he's my soulmate, right?
Well, give a plug to Claudia speed dating. You know, you could. Well, obviously you've got your boyfriend now, so it's not an issue.
Yeah, no, but
I-
how does that
Yeah.
work? Actually, I've never been to any of Claudia's speeding. I'm curious. How does it work?
Yeah, no, I know you've invited me as well, Claudia. The thing is, I have to say, it does not at all pique my interest. It sounds, to be honest, like
All right, let's be
no,
positive.
I'm being honest. So you've got to sell it to me. Sell it to me, Claudia. It sounds like torture as far as I'm concerned.
I think it sounds fun. I just haven't gone.
So sell it to me. Sell it to me, please.
Of course, yeah. So
After that plug, Jesus.
what we do to start, we just start doing some ice-breaking activities so people can interact in a natural way without feeling the need to ask something to the other person without knowing each other. And then we put them in basically face-to-face, but men need to switch every 5 minutes. So everyone can speak with everyone and then exchange numbers if they feel like they have chemistry. It's not that difficult. And at the end, if you don't like anybody, you don't need to exchange numbers or anything. I'm going to protect your identity.
That's pretty
You
nice.
are the algorithm.
Yeah, I am your
You're the human algorithm.
And I just try to find people who are really like single, single without children, and people who are willing to find someone for real, not just for fun. That's
I'm
what
curious, would you ever do a single parents speed dating?
Never. No, I think
No.
it's hard. It's hard. I should try that, like maybe with
hard.
older people.
I feel for that category.
But that's actually a really interesting question because there's a lot of single mothers in Bogota. Are there a lot of single fathers?
No.
I know one. I know two. I have two that are friends of mine, that are very dear friends of mine and very good fathers.
Are they single?
And all the women that I know that are single mothers are also excellent mothers. Hats
Are
off.
they Colombians?
Yeah. Well, no, one's Colombian Italian and one is Colombian.
It just shows you where I socialize. Where I socialize predominantly, and particularly during the pandemic, it's a strato dos. And I would say all my male friends, bar a handful, are sorry, Claudia. They are single fathers or fathers.
They are fathers.
Okay. They may not be single, but they are fathers. I'm the odd one out. I mean, at 36 years of age, they're going, God, Brendan, you don't have a child? That's madness. But I still kind of feel like a child at times, so I don't want one. Anyway.
Well, but at my age, I'm the anomaly.
A lot of fathers and single mothers.
Yeah. Well, because I mean, I'm in my 30s too, and I'm an
Say that again,
anomaly
Olga?
too. Oh, I'm an anomaly too. I would say, and all my friends back in Boston and 30s, mid 30s, you already have one, right, or two. You're married. So I mean, in my case, I people would say that I'm delayed. I guess I'll be forever delayed because I'm not interested in having children. But yeah, just I can completely relate to the fact that at this age, it's normal to have people having their first kid or their second kid, regardless of social strata, I think. And also, I think when you start talking about like socioeconomic differences, I mean, there tend to be more. I would say that there's more childbirth typically, right, in the lower strata, just because of lack of access to maybe contraceptives or less knowledge about contraceptives or religious beliefs or emergencies or many other
freedom.
Reasons. Or freedom
sometimes, because sometimes
freedom to make a choice with your body. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, some of our parents are very conservative or were very conservative. So, for example, I couldn't stay out until too late when I was a teenager. My mother was paying attention to me all the time, so I was overprotected. And I'm not the only one. Like most of my friends at that age were the same. And it's different when you live in a more open, let's say when you live in a poorer area, because your parents are they are just too busy to pay attention to what you're doing all the time. They're working to survive, you know.
4 hours on the bus to work, 4 hours back. Yeah, they work so hard. That's for sure.
So it's complicated. That's what happened when I was a teenager, at least.
Ollie, you're going to have to do the role here of shutting up this shop, because I can't see the chats on the phone.
Yeah, that internet connection.
Oh, you're on the phone.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I'm sure Sophomore is going to be along in a second to tell us our hour is up. So, lots of comments, too many for us to comment on, I'm afraid. Adam Armfield, I'm slightly interested in this story about Medellin. It'll be interesting to know if 2 Americans have been killed recently, you say. I'm not quite sure what you're talking about there. I do think, and I don't know if everyone else agrees, but I do tend to find Medellin has a pretty toxic attitude towards women, especially foreigners and local women. There's a very toxic relationship there. Thank you, Jose Alfredo, Juan Miguel, I'm going to assume it's Juan, Angela, but we really are at time. So thank you very much and goodbye.
Bye, guys. Thanks for having me.
Bye.